guys, welcome back to our channel. So yeah, the theme of our last few videos have been based on medical ethics. So today we have termination of pregnancy, and we brought on two of our colleagues in our class, Talisha and Nishan, both from Cape Town. So without further ado, let's just get into it. The Q&A.
We got some questions from our fans. They commented on our video from last week.
Yeah.
So we decided to answer some of the questions that they posted.
Yeah.
And here. You doing first?
I'll go first. Okay. Hey guys, huge fan of your channel. Love you guys all. How do you guys define personhood and sentience? And this is from Megan in Brussels.
Hi Megan. I think I'll answer that one. So I took some notes in class. So like personhood is basically like the consciousness of a being, and when a being can experience consciousness or like pain. Also when a being can reason, self-motivate, when they have a concept of self or self-awareness, as well as communication. And it's difficult to like put personhood into one box and describe it with one universal term. And there's like three groups that describe personhood. So like the liberals will describe it as when a baby is born. The conservatives will explain it as when conception occurs, and the moderate people will basically explain it as to when a fetus looks like a person. And when that's also very like vague. There's another question about that later on that I think I'll answer as well. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Next question.
Ooh. So this question is from Cindy from California in the US.
Hi Cindy.
And hi Cindy. And she says she's been having these arguments with her one friend. She is, for example, for abortion, and a friend is against it, and I think that's quite a common thing. And she's asking us maybe if we have some cool arguments for and against abortion. So anyone care to share anything?
Okay, so arguments in favor of abortion would be like reproductive freedom. Like a woman has the right to make decisions about her own body and her own health, and this is also based on autonomy. And it's also in the Termination of Pregnancy Act, which states that a pregnancy can be terminated upon your request within the first 12 weeks of gestation. And then also this to prevent illegal abortions. These illegal backstreet abortions can be hazardous to a woman's health.
Absolutely.
And then also some argue that a fetus is not a person, and this obviously depends on what you were talking about personhood. And so some people would say based on those criteria, it can be concluded that a fetus is not. Well, it does not have the ability to claim the right to life as a normal person would, so it's okay to end the life. And then also child abuse.
In that context.
Child abuse, so unwanted pregnancies might lead to child abuse. They could even be emotionally or physically abused.
Sure.
Because they're unwanted,
So arguments against, I'm going to call on the power of my notes. So basically, the main argument against it is that the fetus is a person, and that person has rights, and that one of that is the right to life. Essentially, abortion is like murdering that person, which is why people are definitely quite against it. Another thing is that as medical practitioners, we're bound by the principle of non-maleficence, which is to do no harm, and essentially abortion is harming the fetus.
Doing an abortion is quite a traumatic experience, because one of the girls in our class, in her gynae rotation, she explained to us how an abortion was done, and it's literally, I don't know as
Sensitive viewers.
Sensitive. It's literally like taking out the baby piece by piece. And if you don't consider that a being, it won't affect you. But for certain
people,
with different views, they think that that's traumatic and that's murder. So I understand exactly.
Sure. And there's also this slippery slope argument that implies that if you're going to allow abortion, then killing other people with, say, mental retardation or a genetic disease can then be done freely. It's justified.
Yeah, it's justified.
And the last thing is that people believe that there are alternatives to abortion, and there are. There's adoption as one of them, things like that.
So Vanushka from Russia wants to know what are the
all the way from Russia,
what are the laws in South Africa like regarding termination of pregnancy?
I'll also answer that one. There's actually quite an extensive act. It was instated in 1996 and amended again in 2008. It's a really thorough act and law regarding what is exactly the choice of termination of pregnancy. It has like 12 sections. It covers everything from maternal rights to fetal rights, institutions where it can be done, or like literally, and the law. So it's quite cool. I think the crux of it is, or the most important part is, what does the law say about when can abortion exactly be done in terms of gestation. So just to clear that up, I'll talk a little bit about like when exactly a pregnancy can be terminated. Before 12 weeks, like she said as well, a pregnancy can be terminated upon request by a woman. So it doesn't have to be like any pathology related, or by either a medical practitioner or a registered midwife. After that, it gets a little bit more tricky. From the 13th to the 20th week, it has to be done by a medical practitioner after consultation with the pregnant woman, and it's only done if the practitioner is of the opinion that the pregnancy would pose a risk of injury to the woman's physical or mental health, because that's also a very valid factor. If there exists a substantial risk that the fetus would suffer from a severe physical or mental abnormality. If the pregnancy resulted from rape or incest, which is a very valid argument. And then if the continued pregnancy would significantly affect the social and economic circumstances of the woman. Very prevalent in South Africa, I think, very relevant there. And then after the 20th week, abortion can only be done by a medical practitioner and after consultation with another medical practitioner. So there has to be like two inputs there. If they are of the opinion that the pregnancy would endanger the woman's life, result in severe malformation of the fetus, or would pose a risk of injury to the fetus. I think that's a pretty clear-cut view of like the gestational periods and when is what accepted and legal. So I added a link below that takes you right to it if you want to go read up some more.
And you know, another interesting thing is like the act is pretty extensive. Is there any way you guys want to change the act? Like maybe including some paternal rights? Do you guys feel like a guy deserves a right in the decision-making process? Interesting question.
Yeah, that is.
I think it's sorry.
No.
Also very controversial. People can argue for and against it, but it's something to think about, really.
Yeah, you guys should put some comments below.
I'm asking my own question. When it comes to the embryo, when does it become a fetus? And especially this pertaining to termination of pregnancy. And this question comes from Carol. Another Carol. Carol in Durban. A local Carol. So I think I'll answer that one. I think when you speak about this, we bring in model status. So model status brings in the when can this entity like sustain itself, sustain life, and I think it also depends on resources. So like there's a universal like cut-off age or cut-off time period of like 24 weeks that a fetus can be viable in a biological scientific aspect. So model status is very difficult to speak about because many groups define model status differently. And it's just basically like the beginning of life, and like I said earlier, like when can life be sustained extra-uterine.
Exactly.
Religions also, many belief groups and philosophies also tie in different definitions. Personally, I would go according to gestation. So 24 weeks is the universal one. So, and it also depends on resources, like I said. Certain countries like Japan may have the cutoff of 24 weeks because they can sustain their life extra-uterine with the resources that they have.
Absolutely.
And in contrast to like Tigerberg Hospital, that can sustain a baby or a fetus at the gestational age of 28, 27 weeks, depending on like when you start counting.
Absolutely.
So I think it's just we can sit here the whole afternoon speaking about model status and viability and the different groups that have different opinions, and I think it's such an interesting topic to actually speak about.
Definitely. I think we have time for one more question. I'll dive into it right here. So this question is from Aya, and she's from Sydney, Australia. Hi, Aya. And I think very cool question. She asked now, ever since the Choice of Termination of Pregnancy Act has been instated in South Africa, has that decreased the amount of illegal abortion? Very cool question.
That actually is quite a fascinating phenomenon because even though there are just as many legal abortions, there are the same number of illegal ones, which is so weird because now it's legal. So why are people still getting illegal abortions? There hasn't been a decline.
Oh wow.
And I think a lot of that pertains to maybe there's a lack of knowledge. Maybe they're not aware that this is legal. You don't need to go through these other side routes. Yeah. There's also the thing about conscientious objection of doctors. So perhaps there's not a good referral system. Because they have that right to, but you need to make sure that you follow through and refer.
That's also
Access. There's definitely, it's hard enough for them to get to a clinic and a hospital monthly, let alone come for an emergency situation like an abortion. So access is a huge issue as well.
Wow, that's right.
You can also make time with like the aspect of stigma.
Yes, absolutely.
Like people don't want to sit at a family planning clinic and see the people from the community who cross,
exactly,
or the peers.
Yeah.
It's quite stressful.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe in a lot of communities they might have they have a belief where abortion might, in their eyes, be wrong.
Yeah.
And then you, as someone in that community, sits in a situation where this is now almost like your only choice or the choice you made about if you're going to go through with this pregnancy or not, and then it's a thing of stigma and
you have to deal with that judgment for a long time.
Very cool, guys. Very cool discussion.
I enjoyed that.
I think that was really great, very insightful, and I hope it helped the viewers at home. Yeah.
I think that's all the time we have today. Catch us next week. We'll be speaking about contraceptives and the ethical dilemmas in that. I see you guys out here watching our videos and not subscribing. Please subscribe. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.